recording us. You'll probably get a little notification from me for that. So first, I just want to thank everybody for being here today, for stepping up and being here in such a big way for our community, for our community students. I can't tell you how much this means to me, how much this means to our community. I know to the students and families and teachers. This is just such a big, important piece for our community. So thank you for that. I am going to go ahead and start a screen share because I'm going to share a PowerPoint so that you don't have to look at me the entire time here. Just a second to get that up and running for everybody. There we go. Everybody see that on their screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Perfect. Okay, so you can see these beautiful faces here, smiling faces. So we're excited to be working with students in our community, and opportunity does change everything. This is our opportunity as a community to come together and really make a difference for our students and really for the future of the Quad Cities. This slide here shows a little bit about some of our past reading experiences and reading volunteers. We have been in classrooms in the past, reading one-on-one with students. We've also read online with students, as you can see there, one of our teachers in that picture as well. We've had some really great success over the years, and we've seen anywhere from in-person, we've seen 85% of participating students improve their reading skills, and online we've seen 100% improve reading skills. So we know this works and are excited to relaunch this year. You'll also see the bubbles over there in the corner that highlight United Way's focus areas of education, income, and health. We focus on those because we know that those are the building blocks for a good life in the Quad Cities. We know they're all intertwined, and when we are successful in one area, we can be successful in all of those areas. In terms of the scope of learning loss in our community, you might have heard us talk a little bit about this, but I want to share with you exactly what we're seeing in the Quad Cities. Now, our United Way has a very unique partnership with 8 of the local school districts, where we are able to work with them to share data and track data of how students are performing and how things are going. And of course, that's all very, very confidential data. We don't get to see that data. We just get to see end results like this. But it does help us to be able to keep our finger on the pulse of what's happening in the community, where we can see gaps and where we know that we need to help. And so you can see when we look at 3rd grade reading proficiency rates in the Quad Cities, you can see here pre-pandemic and then COVID era, which is really our 2021 school year. You can see we went from 61% of our 3rd graders reading proficiently to 30%. It's a concerning number, but we can together make a difference as a community when we work with our teachers and when we work together. When we break that down among the races, you can see that we really have areas for opportunity here. You can see that pre-pandemic, our Black students were reading at 37% and COVID era 11%. Hispanic 52% to 24%, and white students 63 to 36. So you can see, again, we have a lot of work to do, but we can do this together. When we look at 3rd grade reading, and one of the things that's really big about 3rd grade reading is we go from students learning how to read in their earlier years. They're learning the technical skills, they're learning comprehension, they're learning all those things. When they hit 3rd grade, they're now reading so that they can learn other subjects, things like science and math. And so when we look at 3rd grade reading because it tells us stories. It tells us stories about future, it tells us stories about what's happening. One of the things it tells us is that students that are reading proficiently by third grade are 5 times more likely to graduate high school ready for a success. That means job or career, whatever that might be. And so what you're going to be doing to help the students, it's not only proven to be successful, but think about it as it's going to help them now, but it's going to help them well into their future. Our United Way has Rise United 2030 goals that we're going to increase the number of Quad City students reading at grade level by third grade to 90%. We have some work to do, but we are going to do this together. So Read United QC, what is it? What are we doing? What's going on? Again, thank you for signing up to be a part of this. We are looking to engage 500 community volunteers in reading opportunities where they're going to read one-on-one weekly for 30 minutes with a student. We have 14 sites that are on board for this already. We think that we're going to have a few more sites that are going to be joining us as well. Those include area elementary schools on both the Iowa and Illinois side of the river. And that's about 365 students that are waiting for volunteers like you right now. So tell your friends about this, ask them to join, tell people you know. We've got to get volunteers into the classrooms, and we have to really get started and work on this. The other part of this is we are working to raise dollars to invest in education in our community. And so we'll be working to raise $500,000 to invest in early education, out of school literacy programs, mentoring, and parenting classes. So now I said Dr. Pandora Lawrence have joined us today. She is a retired principal and has a lot of really wonderful knowledge about working with young kids and how to do that, how best to do that. And so I asked her if she'd join us and just share a little bit about that kind of environment of reading with a student, maybe what to do if things get a little bit challenging, and just share a little bit about that. So Dr. Pandora Lawrence, do you mind taking over?
Okay, thank you. Everyone, thank you so much for signing up to volunteer to help a child read. This is so important. If I were still in that school system as an administrator, I would just invite all of you in my building at one time. Love it. So I came up with 5 tips when you're working with students with reading. And the first one was to create an environment of respect and rapport. So that's making sure that kids feel valued and comfortable with taking intellectual risk with talking and with reading. So I thought about, well, what does this look like? Well, when you first meet with them, you only have one kid in mind who you're going to meet with. So that's like very good. You don't have the whole classroom, but establish some type of a icebreaker with them or some type of a get acquainted activity. What I normally do is say, tell me 2 things that you want me to know about yourself. And then I would share 2 things that I want them to know about myself. Some of the kids will talk about their animals, they'll talk about their parents, they'll talk about things that they like doing. And when I meet with them, I'll bring that stuff up. So I do take little notes so that I'll remember, and I'll bring those things up in our conversations or whenever we meet. Another thing is to establish high expectations for learning. And that's making sure that you share with the kids that you are there to help them, but you have a goal in mind is to help them with reading as well as comprehension. So that's why you're there. You want to be there. You want to help them. And that's the expectation of when you're together. We are going to read. I'm going to ask questions about what you read. This is what we're going to do together. And then I also have that smooth functioning of all routines. Now, this is important. Let's say when you go to the classroom, you want to make sure that you communicate with your student on Mondays, every week on Monday at a certain time. I am going to open the door, come into the classroom. You'll see me. Let's say it's 11 o'clock. I want you to push your chair in and come to me right away. Your teacher already knows. If they're going to bring a book, bring the book. Let them know that you're going to be working with them for 30 minutes. And here is the area that we're going to work at. That's important because I remember I was a para, I was a teacher, I was a principal. And with working with kids, sometimes we get off track and that 30 minutes become 10 minutes of reading. So if you establish those routines and they know them, you'll be able to read more. And then number 3, manage student behavior. So it's important that students know, like I would have something that's so easy, like be ready to learn, be responsible for participating when I ask you questions about what you've read. And also be respectful. Let's be respectful to one another. You can also find out if the classroom teacher has some type of award or point system. And I'll normally go back and say, give Mercy 10 points. She was awesome. Or sometimes I'll even make like a certificate or I'll get stickers or whatever and I'll give it to the student. Or I'll even say, can I make an announcement to the class? When I take Marcy back to class, I'll say, Marcy did a fabulous job. Let's give her a cheer or whatever. But I just really make a big deal out of when the kid is trying to do what they're supposed to do. And always say it. Just say something like, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate that. Let's keep going. And then the last one, relax, have fun, enjoy this experience because this is going to be so much fun. You may eventually say, I'll take another student or I'll take 3 kids at one time. I went from 1 to like 4 kids. I'll take it. Come on. But one thing I do is I establish these things with the kids so that they can have ownership of their education too, especially when we're working together.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandora Lawrence. I appreciate this. This is wonderful information and insight for us.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. My screen doesn't want to advance for me. There we go. All right, so let's talk about your first time reading and getting to the school. So just a couple of tidbits and things here. I would suggest that you arrive at least 5 minutes early. That's going to help you find that parking spot, figure out your way into the school, find the office, get checked in, because it's going to take a bit that first time. Once you get going, it'll be a breeze, but that first time does take a bit. Please be sure to bring your ID with you because you will need an ID to check in to the school. And you'll probably need that every time you go. And then I would ask that you would bring a mask. Now, schools are all different in terms of COVID and what they're doing and what their regulations and requirements are. So I would ask that you follow the school's requirements, and I'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. And then I would ask that if you don't have to wear a mask in the school, but you want to, that you do. Please do what you are comfortable doing as long as you're following the school requirements as well. A map. So I mentioned that parking and entry. I'll tell you what, I once went to a school and I parked and I walked all the way around the school and couldn't find the entrance and had to call. So I want to make that super easy for you. So I have created a map for each school that highlights where the parking area is and then where the entrance to the school is. And I'm going to give you access to all this stuff after this meeting, so you'll have that. School details and check-in. So I have reached out to each and every one of the schools and the organizations that are participating with us, and I asked them to share some details with me. Those details include who's the contact at the school that you can reach out to? What do I do if I'm sick and who do I talk with? Includes a lot of different details like that. Things like what do I do with, do I need a mask? What does the school want me to do in that area? So there's a lot of different things on those school details. And I'll go into those a little bit more here too, but I just want to share and let you know that I do have those and they are specific to the locations that you're going to be going to. And then we just ask that you appreciate our teachers. And I know that you all do. And if there's any teachers on here, thank you. You know, it's been a tough year for all of us, and it's been hard on the kiddos and the parents and teachers, and teachers are trying to help kiddos through this. They're trying to handle their own families and get through this as well, and figure out going from in person to online to back in person. And so there's just a lot of things going on, and I just ask that you appreciate those teachers and tell them thank you, because that will mean a lot to them. So what you can expect. The students, so a little bit about the students. We are looking at some pre-K students, but we're mostly in the kindergarten through third grade ages. And the students, when I talked with the schools, I was kind of specific about what I was hoping for. And I asked schools to identify students that are really reading kind of on what we would call the bubble, meaning they're not reading proficiently yet, but they definitely have the potential to read proficiently. They've also asked that they find students that have the capability and are willing to sit down for that 30 minutes and read with you. And in addition, wanted students that they felt would really benefit from these different sessions with volunteers. So those are things that I've asked the schools to look at in terms of the students that you'll be reading with. Reading spaces. So we all know schools are packed. They don't have a lot of space. So we do ask that you are flexible with the reading spaces, but know that a reading space could be in the hallway. A reading space could be in a library, or it could be in dedicated places that the schools identified. I met with the schools yesterday and I asked them to be sure that they're sharing those things with you when you arrive, so you'll know all about those reading spaces. The books, we do ask that the teachers help to provide the books for the students. That way we're making sure that the book is aligned with the students' reading level. Hopefully there'll be some fun books so that we can help to really build that passion for reading with our students. But also know that if you're working with a younger student, you might be looking at helping them with sight words and different things like that. We really want this to be something that's beneficial for the schools and for the students. And so that's what we've asked the schools to do. So all about me. Who doesn't love to talk about me, right? So we've created a fun worksheet. It's called the All About Me worksheet. And Dr. Pandora Lawrence mentioned this, just kind of getting to know that student. Well, that first time, you might not read. You really do need to get to know that student. And so this worksheet, we hope, is something that will be beneficial for you and for your student. We've asked the student to complete it. I've already provided it to the schools, and I'm going to be giving one to you. It's got things like a Crayola crayon on there that you're going to color with your favorite color. It's got things about your favorite book. But it's really to spark that conversation between the two of you and start to build that relationship. Then you may have questions about, well, I can't make it. What do I do? What if my student is sick? Again, in those details that I'll share with you, you'll have contact information about who you should call, text, or email if you can't make it. And then how they're going to get a hold of you if your student is ill. We do not want to waste your time having you drive over there and then having the student possibly not be there. And then I would ask that you just be flexible. The student, if your student is out, we have told the school that you could read with another student because we want to help all students. And so you might find that you are reading with a different student, on occasion. We would ask, or we would let you know that sometimes a student might not want to read a book that day. They might want to chat with you. Try to talk with them, try to encourage them to look at the book. There might be other things that might be around that you could read. Maybe there's signs in the hallway that you could take a look at that they're not even really thinking about that they're reading. So just be creative in those ways. And then for some of you, we have students that were a little bit younger, and the schools had indicated that they probably would be about 15-minute sessions. And so we want to make sure again that you've got a full 30-minute session. So you might be reading with two students, 15 minutes with one and 15 minutes with another. There are very few of those, but I did want to make you aware of that. In terms of reading tips, Dr. Pandora Lawrence did put together a wonderful video for us that we are going to share with you, that's going to go into some really great details about strategies and reading with kids, and ways that you can really help your student grow. And we have a sheet that goes with that you'll be able to take, and just to kind of help you think about some of the things that she said in the video. We also have another reading tip sheet that's just kind of more generalized things, and I've got some on here. Things like recognizing your student energy levels. When you're sitting down with your student, you'll know, is your student really happy and excited today, or are they maybe a little bit down? And so you'll kind of adjust what you're doing and how you're reading with them based on those energy levels. Encourage questions. I know Dr. Pandora Lawrence talks a lot about this, but we can't stress that enough. We encourage that you ask questions, and we encourage that you encourage your students to ask questions. Talk about the front of the book. What do we think that based on the cover of the book, what do we think is going to happen? Ask, what happened during the book? How do you think they got there? So many questions and things. It's helping build comprehension skills. Again, talking about what you've read, talking about, are they seeing that out and about when they're in the community? Have they experienced those things? Use expression when you read. Sometimes some of these students don't have an adult that sits and reads with them. And so the more that you can use expression and make that book exciting and help that book come alive, the more that they're going to get passionate about reading and understand, and they're going to hear it, and then they're going to start reading that way too. You could explore different reading techniques. If you feel like your student is maybe struggling a little bit, you might do things like echo reading. You read the paragraph, and then your student reads that paragraph. Popcorn reading. You might read a paragraph, and then the student reads the next paragraph. Or maybe choral reading. Maybe you read together. So there's a lot of different things and ways that you can read, that you can help out those students. And then praise your students. Again, on the call yesterday with the teachers, they talked about how important it is for our students to build confidence in their reading, and every time just praise them. You had such a great day today, and Dr. Pandora Lawrence just talked about it too, and can't say that enough. And have fun, because this is all about showing students that reading is fun. So a little bit about housekeeping. All of you should have completed your background check by now. We do require a background check from all volunteers that are going into the schools. We will be letting the schools know that you have been vetted through that system. And then we also had confidentiality and release forms that we had you sign. We had those online. If you haven't done those already, we will be reaching out to you and having you do those and share a link with you, and just reminding you. But I want to talk a little bit about the confidentiality piece of this. Couple things there. First and foremost, your time with your student is kind of private time. The student might tell you things about their home life. They might tell you things about their grades. Those things are things that we would just ask that you keep to yourself, and that you don't share with other people. However, if you want to share your experience and you want to talk about your experience, you definitely can do that. We would encourage you to do that. I'm reading with a third grader today, and we're so excited. I've seen my third grader grow and reading and grow in confidence. Share those things. Those things are wonderful things, but just not specifics and names. We also would ask that you please do not take photos with your students. I know it's exciting and fun, and I like to snap those selfies myself and share them and share my excitement. But please don't do that, because we can't take pictures and share those of the students. But you can take a picture of yourself with a book. You can take a picture of yourself outside of the school. So there's a lot of things that you can do to share what you're doing without including the student in those pictures. The other thing with the confidentiality form is you are not a mandatory reporter. However, if a student tells you something that is of concern to you, that makes you think the student might be in harm's way, please, please, please report that back to the school. And in that detail form that I'm going to share with you following this, there is information on who to contact should that ever occur. And then the release form. In the release form, you sign release United Way. And then you also do sign that we can take your picture. However, I promise you, we will not take your picture without asking you and telling you and setting it all up ahead of time. We will not be just walking in and snapping pictures either. So follow-up email, what's next? So I'm going to be following up with you with an email. You're going to get access and information about the All About Me. And a lot of this we've put online with links. So if you have any trouble accessing anything, please let me know. If you need me to email you things directly, let me know. We've got that map out there that I talked about before with the school and the parking area. Those very, very specific information and details about your school. You're even going to see on there some of the specifics about the goals that the schools have for reading, as well as information about the school. How many students do they have? Many of these schools are Title I schools. A lot of these schools are very diverse schools. You're going to see that sort of information on these details, so you know going in about your school. You're going to know who you're talking to when you first come in. I mentioned that we met yesterday. One of the things that we talked about was making sure that the schools are ready to welcome you as volunteers, and that everybody at the school just knows what you're doing and is able to answer or direct you to the person that can answer questions. So really working to make sure that the schools are ready for you there. The other thing you're going to find online is I have a school calendar. All schools are a little bit different on timing, so we've downloaded all the school district calendars for you. I would strongly suggest that you take a look at that calendar and you note the dates that the schools are not in session, so that you don't show up for a session and they're on spring break or they're out that day. If you have questions again about any of that, let me know. That video from Dr. Pandora Lawrence, we're going to share that with you so that you can see that, and so that you can go back to that if you'd like to, along with the tip sheet that goes with that, and then the other kind of more general tip sheet as well. I'm also going to start talking to the schools about your start date, because we want to get you going. We're going to get you going really soon. And so following this, I'll be assessing, making sure that everything is in place, and I'll be starting to talk with the schools and get that start date. I'm going to email that out to you and get you that information, so you're going to know exactly when you would start. The other thing is, some of you may have signed up for an opportunity that was Monday through Friday, and you kind of had your option of what day. So I'm going to be asking you what day you want to read, so that I can let the school know, so that we can make sure we're consistent. Most of the opportunities were set up where you picked your day and your time, but there are a few. So I just wanted to make mention of that. So with that, I want to thank you again for being here today, being a part of this. Listening to all of the details here. I want to open it up. If you have questions that I can answer for you, I want to make sure I do that. This recording will be online, so if you want to go back to this, you can go back to it. I'll also have the PowerPoint that we did online. So I just want to make sure all this is available to you and you feel 100% comfortable with your opportunity. Questions or thoughts for me? Let's see, it looks like somebody signed up. They only saw one school district, but another might be. So yes, so we do have them listed by the location of the school. So you could go out to the link and you can search specific and say Rock Island. We are working on getting Moline schools on board. If you don't see them, they might be full. I would say I don't think that's probably the case, but I know that Rock Island Schools was a popular one for sure.
Okay, good.
Let's see, did I miss any other questions in the chat? We sign up for, yes, you absolutely can sign up for multiple times, multiple locations. Sign up for what you feel comfortable with. What I would say, and I can't reiterate enough, is that this is an ongoing opportunity. It does end in May for most schools. So sign up for what you're able to do, because that student is going to be looking forward to their time with you. And we just want to make sure that you are able to be there. But we would certainly encourage you to sign up for different times. And if you're going to be at a school and you want to go back-to-back times or things like that, if they're available, please do. Other questions?
A question.
Yes.
Can we bring materials with us? I mean, for example, depending on the age of the student, et cetera, I'm thinking I have this great book of tongue twisters.
Mhm.
And I would love to share them if it was appropriate, and maybe it's something I'd have to talk with the individual teacher about.
So that is a great question. I'm glad you brought it up, because I do get that question often. What I would say to that is, please talk with your contact at the school and just ask them, because schools might have different feelings about what you're bringing, what you're reading. Oftentimes they are okay with it, but I don't want to speak for them.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Other questions?
Also, generally, the student will bring the material that they want to read. They want us to read with them.
Yes, so we are asking the schools and the teachers, and they know to provide the reading material, whether that's sight words, whether that's a book, they'll always come with that to your session.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And you also brought something up that I didn't mention, is connecting with the student. The school, especially that first time, is going to help and make sure that here's how you're connecting with your student. Once you get going, it might be checking in and going to wherever your meeting spot is, but that first time there will be somebody there that helps you connect with them.
And you may have already answered this, but I just wanted to make sure. So I originally signed up for a morning slot, but then when I went back, it was gone. And so I signed up for an afternoon slot. When you send us out available times, can I switch back to mornings if it's available? Or would you prefer that I stay where I signed up?
No, I mean, no, you can be part of whatever time works best for you. I would say that if you didn't unregister yourself, you may actually be signed up for more than one spot right now. So let me go check. I'm not going to check it right this second, but let me check it after this and follow up with you on what you're signed up for.
All right, thank you.
You also, two things about that. When you registered, you received an email from the system, and then you received an email from us. And then you also received this email with this appointment. Included in the two emails from United Way, there are links. And if you click on the link, it takes you back to what you signed up for. So you can kind of see that. But I'm still going to check on yours there. But if you want to get back to see any of that information, you can see that there.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm probably in the month of May. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish out through the whole month. Well, I'm sure I'm not. I'm expecting my third granddaughter in Denver, and I'm heading out there when the baby comes. So is that a game changer, or will you have someone else we can share with that last month?
I would say that's not a game changer. I'd say we could do a couple of things. One thing you could do is you could ask somebody to sign up with you and let us know who you're going to read with as a partner. They'll have to go through the same process. They'll have to, do the background check and watch the orientation, all that good stuff. But they could help. Or the other thing that we could do is, if we're just not able to find that partner, you just let the school know, and I'd let them know right up front that
Well, in advance.
this is kind of what I anticipate.
Okay, good.
Really great questions. Thank you for the discussion, everybody. Other things on your mind? All right.
But in general, when do you expect us to start?
I think a lot of people are probably going to start in the next couple weeks. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a few volunteers at each school before I get you started. That way I'm not sending one person over at a time. However, I'm not going to make you wait long because I want you to be able to get going and get reading. So I would say within the next week to 2 weeks, I'm going to have you a start time and we're going to have you reading.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Josh, any questions that you can think of that I missed in that chat? Should I peek through there? I know you guys were kind of chatting back and forth and I don't want to miss anybody's question. I do want to say United Way staff we are all in on this. We have a team that's helping to recruit volunteers, and we have a team that's ready to help assist you if you've got questions, if anything comes up. Please, please, please reach out to us.
Marcy, I have one, just a comment. I remember like whenever I used to volunteer to help a child read, I sometimes brought a snack, like a granola bar or what have you. I don't know what it's like because of the pandemic and taking the mask off and eating or what have you. I don't know if you just give it to them and they could take it and have it for lunch. But if we do something like that, it's very important to talk with the teacher too, to make sure that the kids aren't allergic to like chocolate or peanut butter or what have you. But
Yeah.
sometimes those little treats are some type of award as well, and it helps to build rapport.
Yes, agree. That's a really great point. Thank you for bringing that up because that's another question that I do get. And I also would encourage you to talk with the school before, making sure you can bring anything in because things are so different now. And like Dr. Kendora Lawrence said, making sure that everything's good with the student too. Okay. Well, unless anybody has, Mary, did you have any other questions or no?
I
Okay.
don't think so. No, thank
Okay.
you.
I thought I saw you kind of look like you had a question, so I just want to make sure. Oh, I do have another one. Okay.
I do have one thought, because I too am going to be unavailable in the month of May. But if you know, if we haven't gotten anybody, if you know somebody who, oh, they're available, like somebody in this group might not be reading at the exact time I am, and maybe they would be willing to do it twice a week during May.
Mhm.
Is there a way that you, Marcy, could communicate that to a group and say, would you be willing to do during the month of May for these, you know, that, you know what I'm saying?
I
To help
do know what you're,
substitute.
yeah,
Because I hate to not be able to complete the task with a child.
no, I understand that. Yeah. You know what I think would be best is I wrote your names down. But maybe maybe when I email you, you reply and let me know that too, so that we can kind of be looking as well. I think that would be really helpful. And if anybody else has things like that too, a time or two, we understand that happens. But if you do have to cut it a little shorter, we just want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So.
Marcy, one other thing, I would suggest, like, if we are going to be absent and we know like next Monday we'll be absent, I would suggest that we communicate that to the child as well.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
even, yeah, because sometimes they'll think like, where is she or where is he? Well, do they like me? I mean, you never know. So that's what I do a lot too, is I'll give them the heads up as well, because they're a part of this. It's a partnership.
Yes, they do look forward to you. Though it will not be long that they'll be saying, "Where's Steve? Where's Steve? I'm ready to read with Steve." So just know they love and look forward to this stuff too. Great advice. Thank you. Okay. Well, I am going to let you have some of your time back here. But I thank you again so much. Please, thank you. Thank you so much. And please, if you have questions, we are here for you. We are so excited about this. And at the end, we will be working on pulling together data and information so that we can share with you the results of this. It will come after your time is done with reading with the volunteers and the with the students, but we will have that. And we want to do this through the summer, and we want to do this again next year. So keep us in mind for that too. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. It looks beautiful out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.